After an extreme makeover of Bramblewick's town center, you'd think the locals would be content for a while, right? Wrong. The Bramblewickers want more. So what's been brewing in this quaint British town since the big upgrade? Well, the people have spoken, and they're dreaming big. Imagine this: historic British streets lined with classic brickwork and vintage charm, now mixing with sleek, modern architecture. Can the old and the new coexist? The people of Bramblewick are wondering the same thing. In fact, 81% of the town participated in a survey, and the overwhelming majority agreed. It's time for change. The local government isn't wasting time. They've mapped out an ambitious plan to transform this tiny town into a true attraction, a place that balances tradition with innovation. And guess who's been called in to make it happen? That's right, us. But this project isn't just about buildings. The town's buzzing with ideas. Residents want better parking in the picturesque town center. The countryside is calling with soaring demand for low-density housing. Farmers are eager to expand, supplying Bramblewick with fresh, homegrown produce. And, to top it off, an Italian winemaker has joined the mix, ready to bring a touch of Tuscany with a brand new vineyard. If you like this video, make sure you subscribe. Today we're kicking things off with practical solutions, parking upgrades, and a brand new countryside expansion. Can we make this piece of land shine? So, ladies, gentlemen, and everyone who clicked the wrong button, I am Beyond Horizon, and we're gonna roll up our sleeves, fire up the bulldozers, and bring Bramblewick's dreams to life. Let's dive in. All right, folks, our small British town center is already looking good, but the residents wants a little extra, more parking. Who knew they could be so passionate about their cars? We've got some parking, but we can always do better. We're gonna make a few adjustments and boom, more roadside parking. It's like turning the town into a parking paradise. Roadside parking like this is possible through the Road Builder mod. An amazing mod by TDW. If you're using mods and don't have this one, go get it. There are tons of tutorials for this mod here on YouTube, and I'll create a tutorial myself very soon. I've been using the mod to turn an alley road into an alley road with parking. That's the road that we're going to use for this task. If you create parking on one side, you might need to draw the road in the opposite direction if it's turning up on the wrong side. We're doing the same thing on the other side of the block, moving buildings and adding parking. It's not the height of realism to move buildings, but when you make a mistake in the planning, you got to do it for the greater good. And when the final result turns out like this, you know what? I'm pretty happy with this. We could use a regular two-lane, two-way road, but using that everywhere would give us a pretty boring aesthetics all over the town. It turned out pretty good. When we expand a town, honestly, it might turn into a city. We will discover more usages of the Road Builder mod, and there's so much we can do with it. We're finishing up with the last parking spots on this side. As far as I can see, we can fit a parking space at the top of this slope as well. Let's try. Just adding a small road to keep everything neat and organized. We don't want the parking to exceed its limits. We can't forget about the heart of the town. The bus station needs parking, of course, and we're making it a prime spot. Strategically placed parking lots or roadside parking near bus stations can help boost the usage of your public transport network. Commuters can park their cars, hop on a bus, and leave the gridlock behind. But there's a catch. Too much parking can lead to congestion around the station, defeating the purpose of smooth transit connections. Some details on this corner will make the area smoother on the eyes. Some cobblestones, grass, plants, and trees can never be wrong. I wanted to get that clean and polished look. Sometimes, in Cities Skylines 2, you've got to take a step back and refine the details to make everything fit just right. with a little detailing that turned out pretty nice. The only two things I'm not 100% happy with is the two crosswalks. I removed one of them, but the gap is still there. The other overlaps one of the parking spaces. We'll leave it for now, but for my own sanity, we'll fix this later. If we use some of our creativity, we can find room for one more street parking. And this is going to be beautiful. At ground level, this area will look pretty nice. And I'm really happy we saved enough space here to get this street parking in, because we both got some parking in and we made it a nice area. I am satisfied with the result. Detailing behind the parking space here will make this a nice view. Will the citizens finally be happy with the parking situation? No, we're close to parking paradise. I think they're gonna love it. Let's take a look at how the parking job turned out. Next up, the countryside. More roads, more British charm. Let's keep the momentum going. Now, we've already been through a hilly build in this series, so this time we're skipping straight to the cinematics to showcase the result. All right, let's talk about the plan for our new district in Bramblewick. I've been working out how it's all going to come together, and trust me, it's going to be a game changer for this town. First up, we've got to tackle the highway. The current setup just doesn't cut it, so we're going underground with it. But don't worry, we'll have well-designed entry and exit points above ground for smooth traffic flow in every direction. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Bramblewick needs a high school, and this new district is the perfect spot for it. The goal here is to seamlessly blend modern architecture with the charm of historic British buildings. We're going for that authentic mixed-use vibe. Think parking spaces, green parks, and just the right amount of contrast between old and new. Most of the park area will be custom designed, using a mix of assets to give it that personalized touch. We're also using urban promenade buildings to line a beautiful pedestrian street. And for a little extra flair, we'll add a telecom tower and some sleek office buildings to complete the district. But before we dive into the highway rebuild, I've got a bit of a confession to make. When I was recording the farm builds and the original version of this district, something went wrong with my settings, and the recording quality turned out terrible. So instead of walking you through those builds, I'll show you the final version of the farms, and as for the new district, well, this is actually take 2. I've rebuilt it as closely as possible to the first version, and moving forward, we'll use that original build to continue developing the town. So stick around. There's a lot more to come as we expand Bramblewick and make it even more stunning. Here's how the farms turned out. The vineyard is actually a forestry, and that's simply because I wanted to make use of the trees and make it functional in any way. I've added a restaurant asset from PDX mods. Enough about that. We'll take the highway. To handle all the traffic passing by and flowing into our town, we need to make some big changes to the highway layout. We're going with one-way highways, and we'll design smooth, efficient entry and exit points to keep everything running seamlessly. After a lot of thought, I've decided to use 2 roundabouts for this area. Not only are they super effective for traffic management, but they'll also add a nice visual touch to the overall design. Now, I'll be honest, This area is going to look a little rough at first. The entry and exit points won't look like much until we build around them, but trust me, once we're finished, it's going to be stunning. I've already built the entry and exit for the other direction, so we're all set to move on to the main build and our bigger goal for this district. The idea is to create a space that's a must-visit for both tourists and residents. A mix of stylish, historic UK architecture blended with sleek, modern designs. It's going to bring the best of both worlds to this city, and I can't wait to show you how it all comes together. City planners and chaos creators alike, welcome to the ultimate urban design showdown here in Bramblewick. We're diving into a challenge that's got history buffs and modernists on the edge of their seats. Can we take centuries-old British charm, those cobblestone streets and iconic terraces, and mash it together with futuristic skyscrapers and sleek modern architecture? Will our small town become a harmonious blend of history and progress, or will it look like someone dropped a glass tower in the middle of a medieval village? Stick around, because in this episode of Bramblewick, we're not just expanding a town, we've promised to craft a masterpiece. Let's see if we can pull it off without turning the traffic into total gridlock. Ready? Let's rumble. But first things first, folks, we've got a serious civic duty to address. Our town is screaming for a high school, and we're here to deliver the kind of education hub that's not just functional, but an architectural statement. To kick off our modern vibe, feast your eyes on this building. Look at it. Absolute beauty, isn't it? This thing is practically begging to be the centerpiece of our town's education district. With us doing the planning, it's going to shine brighter than a new traffic mod on PDX mods. Now, priorities, we've got to get road access to that statue ASAP. It's not just about infrastructure, it's about respect for the layout, people. And because this is still a small town, we're keeping it quaint with alleys for some of the connections. I've got a few ideas for how to connect the high school to the town. Sure, we'll use several points, but I'm starting with a backyard connection. Why? Because it's got that cozy, hidden gem vibe that makes cities feel alive. But let me tell you, finding the right curbs here is a challenge. It's like playing Tetris while planning for parks. A larger road will run in front, seamlessly linking to the quay, because who doesn't want waterfront access on their way to class? And speaking of high schools with class, every respectable one needs sports arenas. For now, we're going with tennis and basketball courts. Modest but solid. Don't worry though, I've got bigger plans for a future episode. For the backyard, we're creating an alley that extends into a pedestrian path, connecting it to the nearest neighborhood. It's about walkability, community, and giving our citizens the kind of town they'll brag about to their friends and every tourist visiting this town. Sure, right now it might not look like much. It's like staring at a blank canvas before the masterpiece. But trust me, we haven't even scratched the surface yet. Let's dive into the pedestrian area. Our citizens demand walkability, and we're delivering nothing short of perfection. Picture this: urban promenade housing lining a pedestrian street, flanked by custom-designed parks. It's the new Bramblewick lifestyle in full swing, where every corner invites you to stop, stroll, and enjoy the view. We're zoning our first buildings of this district, and of course, it's the urban promenades, the first paid expansion from Colossal Order. It's a CCP, and we all know how good the Cities Skylines community is at creating buildings. Modern architecture is like the minimalist Instagram influencer of the building world. Clean lines, sleek materials, and zero clutter. It's all about glass, steel, and concrete showing off their best angles. Think form meets function with a touch of look at me, I'm stunning, and practical. Modern buildings line up like a group of friends taking a perfectly spaced group photo. Everyone's polished. Whether it's a grid layout or wrapped around a fancy plaza or park areas, they scream we're organized, efficient, and ready for the spotlight. All right, while we're waiting for our urban promenades building to finish construction, let's talk about something I just cannot forgive Colossal Order for. Those hideous tunnel entrances and exits. Seriously, they're like the bad haircut of Cities Skylines 2. Every time I look at them, I hear them screaming, "Fix me!" So, here's the plan. We're giving them a glow-up, modern architecture style. Concrete covers, sleek lines, and maybe even a little landscaping magic. It's all about turning these eyesores into eye candy. Because if we're building a city that's a masterpiece, those tunnels better pull their weight and look the part. That's so much better. Not perfect, but we got the clean concrete style we wanted. Let's craft the area between the tunnels. We're gonna have a parking lot and 2 office buildings. When we add some details to this, it's gonna look very nice. I'm using some low-density offices, but it's 2 of the tallest of the low-density offices, so maybe we can call them medium density. Okay, I'm happy with that. Let's fix the ugly ends of these tunnels. I'm quickly going to show you how I created the parking lot between the mixed urban promenade buildings and the offices. Invisible two-way perpendicular covered with some brick surface, which is later going to be replaced with something better for the eye. Moving on to some more office space. We need more British buildings in here. This town's craving some charm, so let's fix that. I'm adding some medium density beauties right near the highway exit. Why, you ask? 2 solid reasons. First, because obviously we need more British vibes in this town. A little red brick here, some sash windows there. It's all about keeping things authentic. Second, I've got a bone to pick with that highway exit. It's just sitting there, all exposed, like it wants to ruin my aesthetic. Here's the plan. We're making the highway exit disappear, not in a magician's poof way, but by blending it into the build. Think carefully placed buildings, clever landscaping, and seamless transitions from the old town to the new district. By the time we're done, that exit will be so well hidden, you'll need a map to find it. We need to hook up the old town with our shiny new district in a way that won't turn our pedestrians into Cities Skylines traffic statistics. Crossing that highway entry and exit as, well, no thanks. It's practically a game of Frogger out there. We're building a pedestrian path that starts in the park area, glides over the highway like it owns the place, and lands gracefully in our fresh British build. Fancy, right? But we're not stopping there. We'll make a few tweaks to ensure this path doesn't just work, but actually looks good. To tie it all together, we'll connect the path to the park using some invisible paths, because why not keep it magical, and then lay down a surface that screams, hey, we planned this all along. So by the end, it'll be the safest, prettiest shortcut our citizens have ever strolled. We're laying the pathway for the waterfront park. This park will light up this area and make the building around it shine like a diamond. We need to relocate one of the urban promenade building to fix the paths between the pedestrian street and the big parking lot. And while I'm at it, I'm fixing some of the details around here too. Time to finish off our pedestrian street in style. Let's bring in the final two buildings that will complete the vibe. We're plopping them down with precision, tweaking their placement and rotation until they're perfectly aligned. This isn't just building, it's urban art. Now it's time for some more British buildings. We're gonna create a very nice area with some fantastic old UK buildings. When this area is done, it's going to marry the pedestrian street and the park. Speaking of parks and bigamy, we're strolling down the parkway and into a time lapse for the park. Enthusiasts. Oh, Jimmy. Okay, we've reached the end of today's build, and I have to say I am pretty happy. No, I'm extremely happy with how this turned out. We've raised some beautiful modern architecture buildings, laid down an urban promenade, added more British charm, created parks straight out of heaven, and now this build has come to an end. It's been a pleasure having you here, and if you enjoyed this video and want to see more, make sure to subscribe to the channel. The only thing left for us to do now is to sit back and enjoy the final cinematics. See you in the next episode, and until then, take care of yourself and everyone you love.